Good morning, Iman. Well, I mean, there's so much jargon at this conference: mitigation, adaptation, emissions. And Shireen is really going to demystify adaptation. It's her baby. She's going to simplify it for us. So Shireen, thank you for joining us. Let's start with a case study. If we look at Africa, the Horn of Africa, Somalia, Sudan, what will climate change do and how is it affecting those areas currently?
Morning, Paula. If you consider climate change in the context of these countries, but not just these countries, in the context of African continent, I think you need to look at water, energy and food security, because all of these three things are so closely linked. So if I can give you an example, with average global temperatures increasing, it results in pressure on water resources. That then has an impact on weather patterns, floods, droughts. That has a knock-on effect on water and energy and food production, and invariably on food security as well. And if you look, there's a list of 36 countries around the world that are considered to be food insecure. 21 of those countries are actually on the African continent. So that just gives you some indication of the impact on the African continent. So if you look at countries like Ethiopia and Sudan, these countries are already on the tipping edge, and further stresses from climate change will actually push these countries over the edge. And that is why it's so important for us to have a more proactive approach to adaptation rather than a reactive approach, because
so a lot of it is really at stake for countries on the African continent and small island states.
Absolutely. But I think for me the other issue is, and a lot of discussion from yesterday in the African context was talking about trade on the African continent, and there were some facts thrown around that only 2% of world trade actually comes from the African continent, despite all the resources that we have. And that's crazy. And the talk is that if we could increase that by just 1%, it would result in an additional revenue of $70 billion for the African continent annually, which is 3 times more than the aid we get from all over the world. So that in itself is crucial for us. And if already we have issues like reduced water consumption and food stress, that's just not going to happen for us.
So really, the Green Climate Fund to help the continent is essential. What if it's delayed this year and pushed to Qatar? What kind of impact could that have?
Well, firstly, we need immediate and urgent attention in terms of financial and technology support through operationalization of the Green Climate Fund. But then we also need delivery of the fast track finance, the fast start finance in the form of the $30 billion. But we also need assistance in terms of technology from developing countries. And I think for me what was interesting is that being an Africa COP, adaptation is high up on the agenda, and I think that's important in moving these issues forward.
And you are going to be consulting with businesses after this. What are the messages you're going to be giving businesses to help fund these green economies around the continent?
I think our key messages to business at the moment is that consider what's coming out of the discussions and the policies in terms of impacting on your own policies. But I don't think business can adopt a wait-and-see approach. The time for action is now, and businesses need to move forward, because the green economy is really the economy of the future.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much, Shireen. Well, there you have it. Adaptation 101 from Shireen Naidoo, really demystifying what adaptation is and emphasizing the point that action needs to happen now. And I think that's really what the South African delegation as host and chief negotiator are pushing for. Action at COP17, not COP18. Thank you, Iman.